Heavy spoilers for Gurren Lagann ahead. You have been warned. Tell me the secrets of this world. That's the name of the episode that changed everything. Those are the words we think when presented with a mystery about the world so fascinating that we as viewers have to find out the truth. The basement reveal in Attack on Titan, the truth behind the orphanage in The Promised Neverland, the ominously dark nature of the abyss in Made in Abyss, and of course, episode 18 of Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. In one of the most memorable turning points in anime history, Gurren Lagann alters the entire narrative focus in just one singular episode, the anti-spiral. After fighting against the beastmen for generations and emerging victorious, humans receive their biggest and most unwelcome surprise yet. It's revealed that the reason for Lord Genome's constant subjugation and oppression of the human race was due to an ongoing conflict with the anti-spirals, extra-dimensional beings who sought to prevent the destruction of the universe through keeping spiral lifeform populations under control, humans being one of those populations. This meant a few things. 1. The victory of Team Gurren was not all roses and flowers, rather an event that could be perceived as working against humanity's well-being and Lord Genome's effort to save the human population, the complete opposite of what Team Gurren had hoped to achieve in the first place. 2. Team Gurren had only taken the very first step towards humanity's freedom and prosperity, and a conflict which had a scale magnitudes larger than previously thought to be was next. A complete shift of the main objective in the story that seeks to create a clash so fucking epic that it would span the entirety of the universe and multiple dimensions. But how do we get to that point? And how does the show get the audience to actually care about this pivotal shift in the understanding of the world? Well, first, you kinda have to make them care about the world first. The very first scene in the very first episode sets us in space actually, fighting a grandiose and colorful battle in what seems to be against the stars, foreshadowing the massive intergalactic scale of the conflict that will eventually be built up to. In contrast, immediately after this scene shows the humble, monotone underground village of Jiha. The show begins with a lighthearted and comedic tone to it, creating an interesting juxtaposition between its tone and the harsh world that it creates. But this lightheartedness also gives a false impression that the world doesn't get much more complicated than this. After all, why would a show with scenes like this do so? But that's exactly what the creators wanted you to think. We're introduced to our main characters and we know just as much about the surface world as the characters do. As we follow their journey, our curiosity about their world matches their own curiosity as they continue to take larger and larger strides in conquering and understanding more about their world. And while this is happening in front of the viewer, a foundation for what the viewer believes the world to be is set, and it seems rather simple. Humans have been driven close to extinction and forced to live underground, while the beastmen rule the surface above. Pretty easy to understand, right? With not much to it, or so you'd think. And then comes episode 18, the moment of truth. We are told by our beloved heroine Nia through her cold-hearted lips and by the resurrected conscience of Lord Genome about the dark reality of the world. The real enemies were the anti-spirals all along, and the fighting spirit that had been so instrumental in Team Gurren's success was just a product of spiral power, nothing more. Nia pins the blame for humanity's suffering on itself for possessing a power too strong for its own good that would eventually lead to the destruction of the universe itself. It makes us feel like the bad guys, that we are the ones that need to go, and that a happy future for humans is nigh on impossible. The moon that had been referenced time and time again was going to drop out of the sky and destroy the face of the earth, and it makes it seem like we deserve it. A sense of hopelessness and despair dreads upon the characters as they begin to face their biggest challenge yet. Episode 18 takes the foundation of knowledge that had been built on for 17 episodes and radically rearranges it. Every preconceived notion about a simple black and white conflict between the humans and the beastmen is completely eradicated. The world was much more complex and nuanced than anything we could have imagined before. The lighthearted and comedic tone that we associated with a straightforward narrative is dialed back many notches, and the severity of the situation introduced is palpable. The way the story handles this reveal is similar to that of your parents telling you how babies are made. Hold on. As a kid, you've probably heard an explanation from your parents, something like, when a man and a woman love each other very, very much, a baby is made. And your goo goo gaga brain definitely didn't think much of it and didn't care to know what's actually happening behind the scenes. This explanation is technically not wrong, but obviously it forgoes a lot of the nasty details that are necessary for the understanding of the bigger picture. It's the same with Gurren Lagann. At the start, we know that Lord Genome and the Beastmen are fighting against the humans. We know that humanity has been driven underground. We know that Lord Genome believed he was doing something for the benefit of humanity from his speeches. We know all these little bits and pieces that are drip fed to us throughout the series, but we just don't know the underpinnings of these dynamics and the larger picture at hand. This is the textbook way to create the perfect plot twist, and Gurren Lagann executed it immaculately. Episode 18's impact on the later parts of the story is monumental. Facing a challenge that almost seems ridiculous to overcome amplifies Gurren Lagann's core themes, conquering and surmounting the impossible through utter human will and a persistent fighting spirit. The show had gone full circle with its very first scene, showing that despite the added complexity in the story, the show had never forgotten its original identity and message. Kamina's legacy is ever so present in the actions that every character takes, even if he's been gone for almost 20 episodes. In the very first episode, Kamina says this. His speech had manifested literally, making the ending of the series that much more satisfying. Lagann! Impact!